Welcome back to Luxury Cruising. I'm your host, Krystal Sodaitis. I'm so excited to have Kim back with us today, and she is going to tell us how her experience on Azamara turned her from a golf widow to a cruise queen. Kim, tell the audience anything you would like them to know about you.
Well, I first learned about Azamara because of exactly what you said, the golf widow thing. And what Azamara does is they have a really nice program that they coordinate with Perry Golf, which is a luxury golf supplier around the world, going to fantastic courses and, you know, just whether by land or sea, but their sea partnership is with Azamara. And so what they do is they set up this luxury golf experience for about 30 to 40 people, and they handle all the clubs from the minute you get on the ship till the minute you get off. So the clubs just magically appear at these amazing courses around the world. One of their most popular itineraries, as you can imagine, is Scotland and Ireland.
Yeah.
But what people don't realize is there's also tremendous golf courses in Japan and in France and in Spain and around the Mediterranean. And so this was a Azamara intensive golf cruise around the coast of France.
Wow.
Now,
Ship.
yeah, and this was on the Azamara journey.
Mhm.
Azamara has 4 ships. They actually, and you probably know this, but they used to be part of the Royal Caribbean family.
Right. That's right.
And it was very interesting on board the ship, and there's only about 700 people on the ship. So that's a big change from, your Royal Caribbean or celebrity cruises with
Mhm.
much larger counts. But it was interesting because as I talked to people, was super intriguing to me was that many of them were also celebrity loyal cruisers and Royal Caribbean, which made sense because Azamar's only been independent a few years now.
Yeah, I remember sometime around the pandemic, they sort of let that
Yeah.
part go.
And that was when they were taken over by a investment company or
Mhm.
whatever, but the good news is that people who are used to that level of service and amenities still have that. Ozmar didn't change that. They let the cruise people do what they do best.
Awesome.
Um, so what was really great though is they handle all this. And so in my situation, I don't golf, and I had clients who had that same thing, but their spouse does. This is the
Yeah.
perfect compromise.
Give us an idea of like who is the type of person that would take a cruise like this? How are the days structured? What was the itinerary? Give us some background on that.
Well, I would say the bulk of the people are empty nesters. Um, they do not have a children's program on the cruise ship. Now, they're not adult only, but definitely, I think small children who are looking for water slides and merry-go-rounds and water
Yeah.
parks, they're not going to find that.
Right.
So it's going to take a sophisticated child, but for the most part, I would say the people are empty nesters and retirees with a sense of adventure. And
Love that.
why I say sense of adventure, I met 2 different people who had been on world cruises, the 180-day cruises around the world that went everywhere. That takes a sense of adventure to
Yeah.
commit to staying on a cruise ship for, half a year.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
but getting to see the world in the process,
Mhm.
which is pretty amazing. I think that what it is that you reach a certain point in life where you also realize you don't have to spend every minute together.
Mhm.
As an empty messenger myself, I can relate to that.
Yes,
And
yes.
so you go into these ports and one person goes off on their golf outing, and it's not every single day is golf. And so you're not a golf widow or a golf widower, but one day is golf, the other day is exploring. And with Azamara, the other thing, even if you spend the day golfing, they have late night stays. They have more late night stays and
Mhm.
more overnight stays than any other cruise line. So even if somebody spent the day golfing, you could,
Yeah.
go back out to dinner that night or explore the town by afternoon, evening after the
Yeah.
golf is done.
Yeah. So just to sort of like sum it up, it's that one person might spend part of some of the days golfing, but it's not as if you're completely alone all day, every day while they golf and the other person goes off and does the excursions. And even the golfer has the opportunity to experience the towns and the culture when they're not golfing.
Absolutely. Another thing that I noticed, and this was really interesting because it's something that I see happen frequently on river cruises, but I'd never seen it on an ocean cruise. But that 700 passenger
Mhm.
starts to feel real intimate.
Yeah.
You start to see the same people. I can't tell you how many people that we made friends with and we'd sit in the lounge at night with because we had seen them the night before. Now,
Yeah.
I have a somewhat outgoing personality. And so there was one person who came up to me in the spa and said, "Weren't you the one singing karaoke last night? I want to hang out with you."
That's
So
awesome.
I would also say that because of the intimacy of the ship, even if the person you are traveling with is doing something else, you are not going to lack for company if you want company.
Yeah.
Yeah, the excursions, they have fantastic excursions. Even walking around town, I would see people from the ship and I'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
What did you do
Yeah.
today?"
And even that's a commonality, right? The person that
Mhm.
you're one of a couple and the other person likes to golf, you're not a golfer. That in and of itself is a starting point for having something in common.
Well, and like the golf program, the Perry Golf program does have exclusive cocktail parties and gatherings for the people that are part of that program. So the non golfers do have an opportunity to network and meet and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, what are you doing?" What?
And that's true. You said that there were only like 30 to 35 people as a part of this Perry Golf program. So that leaves over 600 other people on the ship as well for you to meet and
Yeah.
mingle with.
Yeah. So I think obviously for personal reasons we have moved into planning a lot more golf travel. This is something because it is something my husband loves to do. He's going to the International Golf Travel Management Show in our marketplace in Cannes, France in a few weeks. Um and I find that the more ways you can integrate what both of you like to do, even if you're not doing it together
Yeah.
24/7, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot of fun. But some other things, like, I really picked up on about Azamara, and have you had an opportunity yet to experience an Azamara cruise?
I haven't had an Azamara's cruise. So yeah, tell us about the ship and the experience on board and even the itineraries, food, all of
Yeah,
that. We
I
want to hear
I
it.
wanna talk about how it stands out because it really is okay. I've been on large cruises, and I've been on river cruises, and I've been on adult-only cruises. I have never been on anything like Azamara, and so it really stands out. Of course, the itineraries really stand out.
And you haven't been on anything like Azamara because this is the smallest ship or this is the first luxury line or you've experienced that and this really still stands out.
I have not experienced a medium-sized ship. For a long time, I didn't do much cruising. It was mostly land, and I'm just getting back into cruising since I've opened the business. And those opportunities, especially with only 4 ships instead of,
Mhm.
multiple ships, there's not as many opportunities to experience those
Yeah.
itineraries. But one of the things that I really was impressed with was absolutely the intimacy. And the crew was unbelievably friendly. And of course, we all can say the service is great, but
Right.
I'm going to give you an example that's going to, quite frankly, in my opinion, it kind of blew me away. The
Mhm.
captain was very approachable, which is unusual, I think. Going around and talking to the guests and mingling with them. I mean, it really did kind of feel like the Love Boat, like what we thought cruising
Yeah.
was going to be like, right? But at one point, we were in St. Malo, France, and the tide went out very quickly. And we had been tendering to shore, and 2 of the tender boats got stuck on a sandbar,
Okay.
and they were going to be there for hours. Now, yeah. In fact, we had to depart late because we were waiting for the tide to come in because they were stuck on a
Mhm.
sandbar. I mean, they weren't going anywhere. The
Wow.
captain personally, I had an opportunity to talk to the people that were stuck on the ship. I just was sitting, or stuck on the tender. They said, first of all, the captain personally got on the cell phone and talked to them. Said, "Is there anything you need? Are you comfortable?" Yada, yada, yada. As we were returning from town, that is when we saw the stranded tenders. And while we were getting on our tender that was still going to go through, we saw the captain putting on hip boots and getting a bag of sandwiches and blankets and walking out to those tenders to make sure the guests were comfortable. And that was something that I just saw repeatedly.
And I think it's not that service. I want to rephrase that. That is a captain that does not think any part of the cruise experience is beneath him. That he is willing to
Right.
do anything that needs to be done in order to make his passengers as comfortable as possible. That's really impressive.
Yeah, it was like we were his family for the week. It was actually 6 passengers that got stranded. Some of the other people that got stranded, this is kind of funny, were some of the performers for the boat that were gonna be performing. So guess what? They gave a private concert while they were waiting because they had their instruments and everything
Oh,
with them.
wow.
So
Yeah.
the people that I talked to said it was actually really quite a memorable experience.
Yeah.
It wasn't horrible, but then they got a tour of the bridge when they got back to the ship. And I just feel like, things are always gonna go wrong. That is nobody's fault. That's Mother Nature.
Right. Right.
But the fact that they went so far above and beyond, and the other thing, and I know every cruise line does this, but, when they have the parade of the crew on
Mhm.
one of the final gala nights, and just seeing everybody come out with all their flags from their home countries,
Yeah.
and it was really moving just to see how many people had been so far away from home. Um, One of the people we talked to had told us that she had such a work visa that was set up in such a way that for 2 years she couldn't even step off the ship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2 years. There was so much I learned on this cruise. I just don't even know where to start. I feel like I'm just got word salad all over the place. But one of the people that I met who had been on several Azamara cruises and did discover that the passengers are very, very loyal.
Mhm.
I would say once you are on Azamara, you wanna do it again.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to anybody who said, "I never wanna do this again." You
Yeah.
know?
I interviewed someone else about an Azamara trip around Ireland, and she said that there were multiple couples that would spend 6 months at a time on the ship.
Yes. Yeah. And
You had that
it
too? You
didn't
had that
phase.
experience as well?
Yes. It was really mind-boggling to me to see how truly loyal, but not really once I saw what happened when something went wrong,
Mhm.
how the captain just stepped up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so what we learned, from this very loyal couple that we met who were gracious enough to come and show us their owner's suite too. I felt it was a little invasive to take pictures,
Uh-huh.
but when I say the owner's suite is gorgeous, it is gorgeous. And I would recommend to anybody that is considering an Azamara cruise, if you can upgrade to a suite category,
Yeah.
it is worth it. It
Yeah.
is that extra space, especially the bathrooms on the veranda level are the smallest bathrooms ever. Like, I'm not a huge person, and
Yeah.
those showers were really hard for me to shower in.
Okay, so this is good to know. So in terms of the
Yeah.
room, veranda's comfortable, but small bathroom.
And they
Yeah.
had these spa showers with, like, 6 shower heads that spray out the side,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
rainfall thing, they had a steam room up there. They have towels, they have all the shampoo and everything. So
Yeah.
I just threw on my bathrobe and walked up to the spot at my shower tip.
Yeah, that's a great tip to have a
And
luxurious if you're in a veranda stateroom and that's what you can afford in order to experience an Azamara ship, but you are looking for a luxurious shower experience, just go to the spa.
yeah, and, let me tell you, that's where I made a lot of friends too, as I'm talking about how into you're sitting around with the towel and everybody's like, "Don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody." But that's not a secret I can
Yeah.
keep to myself very well.
What were some of the notable differences between the veranda stateroom and the suite?
Well, full-size bathroom, a
Mhm.
real bathroom with a tub,
Yeah.
beautiful balcony with a table and chaise lounges, a sitting area,
Mhm.
a fully stocked bar and refrigerator, a butler service, just
Yeah.
it was a king size bed,
Mhm. Yeah, always nice.
wardrobe and closet spaces, that
Yeah.
and you were at the end of the ship, so you had just the sea to look out at. It was really, really pretty.
Nice. That was the owner suite?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
And so, but what I wanted to say, what I learned from this couple, because they had spent so much time on these ships and everything, and had done a lot of cruising, yeah, they were the ones who kind of reminded us that these people that work on the ship and take such good care of us rarely get to leave the ship.
Yeah.
And so we had met them when we were coming back from town one day, and she's got this bag of snacks and groceries. Because if you've ever noticed, if you're on the shuttle with the crew, they've
Yeah.
got bags of chips and candy and snacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she would ask her cabin steward every day, "What kind of snacks can I bring you from town?
Yeah.
Salty or sweet?" And she would run to a store and get a bunch of snacks. So I was like, I love that idea.
Yeah.
So we were like Santa Claus. I went to a grocery store one day and got a whole bunch of snacks and just went around giving care packages to everybody that we met because we were like, "What would you like?" And one guy said, "Ramen." He wanted ramen noodles.
Yeah, yeah. That's
And
so interesting. I mean, I wonder if the contracts are different because, or maybe where the people are from are different, or maybe where Azamara is home ported, what their home port is considered. Because I know that on other cruise lines that I have sailed on, Royal or Celebrity, the crew are allowed to get off the ship.
oh, yeah, yeah, no, that was only one person I was referring to
Oh,
that
okay.
hadn't been
Yeah.
off. No, but when they get off, it's for a couple hours at a
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
And, if they're just going grocery shopping or maybe they actually wanna see something,
Hmm. Yeah.
so I should specify, no, Azamar does allow their staff to leave the ship. It's just that, like any cruise ship staff, it's very limited
Right.
time off the ship.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It was
It
just one
sounds
person.
it sounds like Azamara doesn't do the same itinerary, like, back and forth all day. When you think about a contemporary cruise line, let's say you wanna go to the Med, you could do, like, a 1 week Eastern Med and then the next week Western Med, and that ship is just going back and forth all summer
Yeah,
long.
Azamara actually rarely does the same itinerary twice, and part of that is because their clientele is so loyal.
Mhm.
If somebody does a France intensive cruise this year, next year the France intensive cruise is actually going on the south of France.
Yeah.
Ours went from Portsmouth, England, down to Bordeaux. Now this one's going to go on the south of France across Nice and Monte Carlo and
Yeah.
all southern France. So somebody could say, "Oh, I want to do the France intense one again." And at some point, you'll probably see every single port in France.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
That's great because so many people, if you've cruised in North America, like, leaving from whether it's the East Coast or the West Coast, like, there's not a lot of variety.
no, it's like been there, done that, seen it. And I think that's something that definitely makes Azamar stand out. And next year they are returning to Alaska.
Mm,
And because their ships are so much smaller, they also get into smaller ports and
yeah.
closer in. And so that's something I'm pretty excited about. That was something though, like in France, for example, we got to dock right in Honfleur, where normally the big cruise ships have to dock about an hour away.
Yeah.
We were able to go right up the river in Bordeaux and dock with the rest of the river ships. Again, the big ocean cruisers are,
Can't do that.
like in La Rochelle.
Yeah, and you've gotta get on a bus and get
Mm,
bussed, like you said, an hour to the place you wanna go rather than just walking off the ship and being like, "Here we are." And when you couple that with the fact that you said Azamara stays later in those ports, you really are getting a lot of time in the ports.
It feels like I would describe it as a cruise for people who don't think they like cruising
Wow.
because you have like your floating hotel room.
Yeah.
You are inland a lot. You're
Yeah.
sleeping on the ship. Your meals are still taken care of. But if you want to eat in town, I know a lot of people in Rouen, France, went to the restaurant that inspired Julia Child to cook.
Yeah.
They made reservations and went and ate there
So
because we were in Rouen 2 full nights,
wow.
3 days and 2 nights. So we really got to explore there.
That's amazing. So, how was the food on board, especially when it's compared to this backdrop of French food?
Okay. Well, every day they had some sort of international showcase. And I think this was interesting because you wouldn't think like, okay, here's Asian food, but maybe there's some people who say, you know what, I've had enough French food, right?
Mhm.
But there was always some regional specialties. And one night they did this amazing in the cabaret lounge French delicacies like it was a happy hour.
Mm.
And they
Yeah.
just served all these cheeses and pastries and oh, it
Yeah.
was tremendous. It was the most beautiful display. And I'm a food person, so I get excited
Yeah.
about this. Um, but the restaurants had a wonderful assortment. I don't think I had a single bad meal. The last night I did the chef's table, and it was some of the most innovative and exquisite food I've ever
Yeah.
tasted in a restaurant or at sea. It was
Wow.
super cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, and that was like a 6-course tasting
Yeah.
menu of things with wine pairings, and that was a little bit of a splurge, and for me, if you're a foodie, I feel like that's very much worth it.
Yeah, because the
Um
chef's table isn't included in your cruise fare.
Right, correct. And, we had done an upgrade package so that we would have shore excursion credit, spa credit, and dining credit, and we applied the dining credit to the chef's table.
Okay. Yeah.
Also, and what was really nice about that is that the choice with the dining credit, you could have either had 3 upgraded restaurant experiences or 1 chef's table, and we just opted for the chef's table. It was like, go for the gold,
Yeah,
check it out.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about the shore excursions and if Azamara did anything special for you all in terms of the shore excursions.
The shore excursions are not included. Okay. So we took a couple shore excursions. My friend that traveled with me, she did go up to D-Day, to the Normandy beaches. I have been there and wanted to see something different this time. We went to Giverny and saw Monet's garden. The tour guides are outstanding. They use outstanding tour guides. I highly recommend them. A lot of times, though, we didn't necessarily do a shore excursion. We just kind of went into town, went to the tourism bureau and said, "Hey, can you give us a walking map?" And
Yeah.
kind of did a little, freelance.
And when you dock in town, you can do that. You don't have to worry about getting on the bus and making sure you're on the right bus
Well,
and
there were some shuttles, where was the one shuttle? In Cherbourg, there was a shuttle, but it was also a 10-minute walk to town, and sometimes you had to wait 10 minutes, so I just walked, Cherbourg was really cool. It's a little fishing village, and as you were walking into town, you saw the fishermen taking their catch off the boat and cooking it right there on the dock. If I had wanted to, I could have stopped and eaten whatever they were
right.
cooking as it was coming in. But I think what I liked in terms of, the shore excursions, they're very well organized. Again, not a lot of people because it's not a huge ship, you know?
Mhm.
And everybody travels differently. Some people like that hand holding, and it was absolutely fantastic as far as taking care of everything that needs to get done. But if you didn't want to, you were in, great towns where you could figure something out to do.
Right. Yeah, that's beautiful. And so when you said the tour guides were outstanding, were they Azamara specific? So
No, they were locally contracted, but they work very closely with Azamar. I mean, Azamar makes sure that nobody's gonna have a bad shore
mhm.
excursion.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, everyone that took the shore excursions had no complaints. They were very happy with it. The shore excursions were really just very well organized, very seamless.
Awesome. So, what about for anyone who's listening who is interested in the golf aspect? I don't know anything about Perry golf or really that much about golf at all. So,
Yeah,
why is this
it's
an
it's a
experience that golfers want to do, even if the couple are both golf?
It's a two-part experience. Azamara gets you there. Perry Golf makes sure all the logistics go smoothly.
Mhm.
So Perry Golf handles all your clubs. I mean, can you imagine if you had to store your golf clubs in your cabin, which
Yeah.
is small, and haul them out off the ship every day
Mhm.
and
In the
figure
elevator
out
with four other people, they're hauling their golf
and
clubs.
figure out then, okay, now I have to get a taxi or something, but I have to make sure it's big enough to hold my golf clubs.
Mhm.
'Cause you're not gonna get
Which
in
in
your
Europe
typical
could be an
load.
issue.
Right. So, that is all handled. Then you get to the course, and your clubs are just waiting there for you, and
Yeah.
they've arranged the tee time that you don't have to worry about arranging tee times, which can be a little tricky when you are also dealing with a cruise ship itinerary.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially if you have a short time and you can't get the earliest tea time and you can't get off the ship
Mhm.
in time,
Yeah.
you know, and so all that logistical stuff is taken care of, and you get to golf at world-renowned golf
Yeah.
courses.
Let me ask you this question. So I may be showing my ignorance, but I'm sure when you get your tea time, you have to pay up front. So if
Well
the ship is delayed and you miss your tea time, what would happen?
well, that's Perry Golf. You pay Perry Golf, and they handle all that.
Hmm.
So they are the ones who have arranged the tea times and stuff like that. And if there's a delay, it's gonna be like any other sort of thing. There was one course that they had to change because there was too much rain, and so they compensated them
Hmm.
to make sure that that worked out, but they took care of all those arrangements.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
basically, all you have to do is show up with your best game.
Amazing. Amazing. So what's the best way if someone wanted to book a Perry Golf experience? Let me ask you this. Does Perry Golf pair with other cruise lines or just with Azamara?
No, it's an exclusive pairing with Azamara. Now, Perry Golf does their own land things,
Hmm.
but this particular product is unique to both Perry Golf and Azamara. And so it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. It's delicate timing. First, you have to make sure, does Perry Golf have openings on that sailing?
Hmm.
Because, for example, their Ireland and Scotland ones sell out very quickly.
Yeah, I bet.
Um, but do they have openings on that sailing? And then you go back to the cruise line and say, okay, what category of room do you want? Because what Perry Golf says is that I have
Hmm.
40 openings.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you what category of cabin to book. So they don't book the cruise part of it. They just let you know if they have openings for golf. Then you go and see, does Osmer. So this is again why you use a travel professional. You talk
Absolutely.
to a travel professional. This is one of my areas of specialty. Um, but yeah, it's the coordination of making sure Perry Golf has the openings and then making sure Azamara has the category of room that you want. I had a client who wanted a suite and there wasn't a suite available,
Hmm.
though there were golf spaces available.
Yeah.
So they didn't take that cruise. They did a different one. And so it really is just having somebody who's going to make the conversation happen between
Yeah.
making sure both pieces are available.
I talk a lot on this podcast about the importance of booking early. So, how far in advance do these spots generally become available so that if you do want the suite or a higher end suite, you know to book it as soon as possible after it
You
drops?
know, I mean, there's really no such thing as booking too early. I mean, people are booking for 2027 already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um, and if you know that you want to do something, yeah, you need to book early. I can't say, well, you know what? I think this cruise, 8 people are going to take up all the suites. I know that that cruise will sell out, but I don't know what category
Yeah.
necessarily is going to sell out first. But just knowing that there's 8 of these owner suites on the ship, that means you need to be in the first 8 people booking.
How far in advance do they usually open up the booking?
You can book a year in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can even hold space. I mean, that's why they do the future bookings on the ships.
Hmm.
And rest assured, if you love it and you've worked with your travel agent, they will get credit even if you book on board.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes booking on board is a really smart thing to do if you know you want to do a certain itinerary. And also, especially in the case of Azamara, because their itineraries are different every time, if you see one that you want,
You got
you
to take
probably
it.
yeah, because
Yeah.
you don't know that that same itinerary, in fact,
Right.
the one that I just took probably won't be coming around again for a while.
Yeah, and I'm sure Azamara has this, most cruise lines do, is that you could put a deposit as a
Yes.
guarantee even if you don't know the exact cruise you wanna take. So you know in 18 months to 2 years, you wanna do an Azamara Perry Golf experience, you can put down that sort of future guarantee. You probably will still
Yes.
get some perks, and when it opens up, you talk to your travel advisor has their eyes open and being like, "Okay, it's here. We can go ahead and
There
book."
we go. And also know that they have a similar partnership with Mikado Safaris for their South African cruises, and that's one of the premier names in safaris.
Yeah,
So there's some pretty cool ways to coordinate a land adventure with the sea experience.
yeah.
And again, what's not to love about a cruise where you don't have to pack and unpack?
Yes, and you get to see so many towns and experience so much. and things that, both you and your partner want to. And maybe
Yeah.
it's not your spouse. Maybe it's just your best friend.
Well, this cruise, I took one of my friends. We don't golf,
Yeah.
but I wanted to know what this experience was
Yeah.
and understand what it looked like. One of the things I don't want to forget to mention is that you can have self-service laundry on these ships.
Hmm.
So a 10-day cruise, you
Yeah.
don't have to pack 10 days worth of clothing.
Yeah.
You can have your laundry sent out. That's at
Yeah.
an additional charge or an upgrade, but you can pack light so that you're not sitting there wrestling a ton of bags either.
Yeah. That's always very nice, especially in international travel. If you've got connections, some people are uncomfortable with checking their bags. And if you want to just do carry on, it's totally possible.
Yeah. So that's just a nice perk.
Yeah. Were there any fun pre or post cruise extensions, either that you did or were available?
Oh, well, this is what I would recommend. And make sure you study your itineraries closely. So, for example, the last day of our cruise, our last stop was Bordeaux. We didn't get there till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, though.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we were there overnight,
Mm-hmm.
so we could have, stayed out on the town, but we had to be off the ship by 9 o'clock the next day.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
in our case, it was 7 o'clock because we were catching a train
Uh-huh.
and we were going into Paris.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would say, like, to experience Bordeaux, I would have recommended to my clients, hey, you need to book an extra day or two in town.
Yeah.
Um,
The train, not that next day, but maybe give it a
yeah,
following day.
right. I would say though that Azamara or your travel advisor can certainly arrange a pre and post experience for you. I do a lot of that too. There were people that I met that had gone to London for
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 days before boarding the ship. I was in a position that 10 days is about the maximum I could be away,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't do any pre or post experiences, but I talked to people who had great times, people who went and saw Wicked, people who met each other in the theater and then met again on the ship, didn't even
Wow.
realize when they were sitting next to each other in the theater, and then they get on the ship and like, "Hey, weren't you sitting next to me at Wicked?"
That's amazing. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And did you say it left out of Portsmouth?
Yes.
Where is that? Like, and compared to, like, I have an idea where Southeastern is, right? Oh,
Right across the channel. So, literally, it was a very short cruise
yeah.
to France.
Okay. Got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what is next? Do you have any other luxurious cruises planned?
I do have some luxury plans on the horizon. One of them is actually going to the ILTM, which is the International Luxury Travel
Ooh,
Marketplace, and that's in the Bahamas. I leave Sunday for that. It's a 4-day conference where I'm going to meet with luxury suppliers, including cruisers
yeah.
from around the world. And then shortly after that, I am going to Germany for an educational trip. But I am taking a Christmas market cruise at the end of November. I'm
Fantastic.
super excited about that. I love the Christmas markets. I can't wait to
Yeah.
hear your podcast about the Christmas market cruises because that is something special.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll have it. I'm not sure we'll have it out before your Christmas market cruise, but of course we would love to have you back to hear about
I
your experience.
Yeah, I'd love to come back and talk about some more stuff. I am hoping to experience. I have put in some applications for some other opportunities to learn about some other luxury cruise lines.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but
Obviously. Yeah.
let's
Understood.
just say that this Azamara experience inspired me to really learn about what the smaller ship sailings are like. That's how much I
Amazing.
liked it. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
um, if people want to follow your journeys, or listen to you because you are a travel writer and want to follow your travel blog, how can they find you?
Okay, well, my website is www.love, as in heart, ourworldtravel.com. And I am also on Facebook. You can find me under my personal name, Kim Urig, because people like to know who they're dealing with. And I put all my travel stuff on my personal page. I'm also on LinkedIn. I have a small Instagram presence, but that's not where the bulk of my stuff is. I do have a newsletter that I write for LinkedIn on a fairly regular basis, and
Yeah.
they can subscribe to that. or just reach out to me via email.
Fantastic. And we will put all of that in the show notes. Kim, thank you again
Fantastic.
for being
Krystal,
here.
thank you so much. I enjoy our visits. It feels like just a couple of friends sitting down and talking.
Talking about our favorite topic, cruising, luxury cruising.
Exactly. All
And
righty.
to all listeners, until next time, I wish you safe and luxurious cruising.
Thanks, Krystal. Take care.